Welcome to episode number 490 of Get Paid for Your Pad. I'm extra excited today because my guest is somebody who I wanted to interview in the podcast for a while, but that wasn't possible because he was still working a job. But he's now part of the, can we call it the Jobless Club?
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I like to call it. The Jobless Club, yeah. Thomas Berry, welcome to the show. He's the founder of Hosting from the Heart, which is such a cool brand. I love that name. And we are talking about how Thomas went from a hectic host to a legend, literally in less than a year. He joined our Legends X program about a year ago, and he was recently in Mexico with us as part of the SDR Legends Mastermind, which is absolutely awesome. So I'm excited to dive into it. Thomas, can you give us a quick introduction on like how did you get started with Airbnb with Hosting from the Heart?
Absolutely. Thanks, Jasper. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. So our journey started about 7 years ago. And to kind of just go back a little bit further than that, I've been in the private service industry for 25 years, which means working for high net worth families, previously in the yachting industry. So I was a yacht captain for many years, traveled the world, met my wife, and that was a lot of fun. And then we transitioned, when we had kids, we transitioned out of yachting into estate management. So I worked for high net worth families, managing their lifestyle, very high touch, very high level hospitality. And that led us to Colorado for a job here in Cherry Hills Village. And we had a really unique opportunity where we got to live on this gorgeous, beautiful 9-acre estate in our own dedicated house. And live for free, which was amazing. So I worked very hard at that job, but there was a lot of great benefits. And so right out of the gate, we realized, well, we've got some expendable income because we're not paying a mortgage, which we'd love to invest into a property. So we were pretty new to Colorado. We went and we were exploring, the typical kind of ski country Colorado areas, Breckenridge, Keystone, that type of area. And even back then, before the real estate gold rush happened, things were still pretty expensive for those times. We were looking at 1-bedroom condos for $350,000. And my wife Tina, she said, "Why don't we go just look a little bit farther out?" I found some really good deals, and I thought, in my head, I really wanted to be like close to the action and the ski in, ski out, and everything. But she convinced me to drive over Hoosier Pass, which is about 30 minutes from Breckenridge. And we came into this community called Valley of the Sun. And we found we went and looked at this cabin on an acre and a half, 2,000 square feet for $249,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, we could have all this for that. Let's do it. So we went and we bought that cabin, and it was, little did I know, that was the start of something really, really amazing. We didn't really intend to Airbnb it or anything at that point in time. We were just using it on the weekends and enjoying it as a family. But then we had our second daughter. We were pregnant with our second daughter, and the doctor said, you can't go up to that high elevation, 11,000 feet, for the last 2 months of your pregnancy, and the first 2 months of after she's being born. It's not healthy for her. We thought, oh my gosh, 4 months without using our cabin, what are we going to do? We thought, hey, this Airbnb thing seems to be getting some traction. Maybe we should give it a try. So we threw it on Airbnb, and our cabin is really, it's kind of like just really designed about comfort and warmth and like family. And we would welcome people into our home, and they would stay. And we had those kind of reservations that a lot of first-time hosts have, like, are people going to rent a house, or is it going to be parties? Well, we really focused on vetting the people to make sure that we liked the people that we're putting in the home. And then after they would leave, they would write us these long letters or emails saying, thank you so much for welcoming us into this really cozy home away from home experience. And we created lifelong memories. And we thought, wow, this is really neat. We really enjoyed the hosting aspect more so than we thought. We just thought it'd be more of a financial incentive. But we thought, well, we actually really liked welcoming these people into our home. So we started to do it a little bit more. And then the money started to get a little bit better. And we're like, hey, great. And this is back in the day when, it was the basic days of Airbnb, where you just provided people with a nice clean home, and that was kind of all you needed to do. It was pretty good. So anyways, we started to do a little bit more, and then we thought, gosh, this is pretty good. What if we got another one? So we bought another cabin just 2 doors down, and that's where Hosting from the Heart was born. So we thought, hey, now that we've got 2 young daughters, we'd love for Tina to be kind of a stay-at-home mom instead of being a working mom at an office and having our kids with the babysitter or daycare. We thought, well, what if we kind of create a little business around this and rented out these homes, and Tina would manage it, and that would create a little income for her, and she could be a stay-at-home mom. So that's where it all started. And from there, it just grew. Tina did an amazing job because that whole home away from home experience was what she cultivated. And when people would stay in the home, they could reach her they could call her or text her, and she kind of developed a relationship with every guest, and that really resonated in our reviews. So our reviews over the years have just been glowing and really showcased that warmth that Tina put into that hosting experience and the homes. And so yeah, we just kept going. We discovered master leasing. We master leased 4 properties in Summit County, which is where I mentioned earlier, the prices are very high. Single family home are now millions of dollars. So that gave us an opportunity to kind of get into that market. So I guess, the kind of how Tina and I did this originally while I was, still working my W-2 job, was she was a great host, but I was kind of in the background looking for opportunities. So that's where I discovered the master lease concept or arbitrage. And I would, kind of in the mornings and in the evenings, I would search the internet and try and find these opportunities and work on securing those deals, and then say, okay, hey, Tina, I found this house, you can host it now. So that's how we kind of built things in the beginning. And then the pandemic happened, and just like everybody else, we didn't know, are we done? Are we good? And for a minute, we all thought we were done. And then we got through that kind of 2-month downtime period. And then everything just skyrocketed, like a lot of hosts, I think, experienced in Colorado, especially. And we just so happened to have the one thing that people could do, a cabin in the woods, go social distance with your family, So that worked out really well. And so that time, Tina had built this beautiful reputation with her reviews, and when people would visit our listings, the photography, the staging, people really just resonated with. And then AirDNA came into the play, and people started to be able to use the AirDNA tool. And we were researching a market and going, wait a sec, this one host has like the top 5 grossing properties by a long shot over everybody else in their area. And so people would contact us and say, hey, how are you doing such incredible numbers? And we're like, well, we created really kind of a cool hosting thing. And I'm like the researcher guy. So I started to research dynamic pricing back when it came out. So I started to use dynamic pricing and started to incorporate technologies into what we did, which allowed us to hit about 30 to 40% higher ADRs than our competition, high occupancy rates. And so other homeowners and investors started to come to us and say, hey, would you do this for us? And at the time, Tina was like, she was at her max, like 6 homes, just doing it by herself, right? And she was just said, no, just don't have the time or the bandwidth to do that. And then, after the phone kept ringing, I said to Tina, I think we might be missing an opportunity here. Like, maybe we should really consider this. And so how could we do it if we were to do it? I have a full-time job. I can't, dive in and help you with this, but what if we got somebody else to help? So at that time we met a girl named Amy. We actually master leased her home from her. And then she was furloughed from Marriott, and she came to me one day and said, if you guys ever need any extra help, like I'm furloughed, I have time, I could help you. And I've got 25 years hospitality experience. And we thought, oh, wow, maybe this could work out. So the timing was just kind of divine in that she needed something and we needed something. So we came together. So she started to help Tina basically co-hosting homes. So she started we call it a co-host partnership. We partner with the homeowners to create success and then turn their home into a hosting from the heart home, which is a home away from home experience and all the rest of it. And so that's where things grow quick. And at that same time, we were definitely hectic hosts. All of a sudden onboarded 4 homes like in a month. And so went from 6 to 10. And then that's when I follow you guys on social and such. And I found out that you were launching Legends X, or I was talking to Eric, and I kind of was telling him what we were doing. And he's like, I think we have the perfect program for you. Because I'd done co-host mastery. one of your courses, and was kind of, and then following along through Short-Term Rental Profit Academy, and so had been in your ecosystem for a while. And then Legends X came out, and Eric's like, this is perfect. We're going to accelerate you from Hectic Host to a legitimate hospitality business. And I was like, wow, that sounds great. How do I sign up for that? So that was it. So we signed up, and that was when we really realized quickly, we didn't know what we didn't know, and there was a lot to learn, and there was a lot to build systems wise. And so we dove into the course, and did that like Q2 last year, and it changed everything for us.
That's awesome, man. There's a lot to digest here. A couple questions come to mind. Is okay. The first thing is, when did you actually list your first Airbnb?
So Avon, our youngest daughter, was born in May of 2016. So I'm going to say it was summer of 2016.
Yeah.
Around that time, spring of 2016. Yeah. It's funny because I remember, I think you can look back through Airbnb, and I think, that May, I think we did $400, and now I look at what we do in a month of May with our portfolio, and I go, we've come a long way. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And what one of the things I love about your story is that, as so many of us, we roll into Airbnb because we have some sort of challenge that we need to solve, right? It was the same for me back in 2012, where I was like, I was traveling. I wanted to stay at my own house sometimes, but there was always this long-term renter in there, right? And I was like, man, if there was a way where I could rent out my apartment, but also use it when I'm at home, then that would be great. And that turned out to be Airbnb. And similar for you with the birth of your daughter, like you had this challenge, and so you found Airbnb and jumped on it, and yeah, the rest is history, as they say, right? Let's can you describe, you mentioned, and your story is very typical of the people that come to our program, Legends X. You start managing a few units, and it's not in there was two of you, right? You and your wife Tina was doing most of the work, right? And that's doable, right? If you have like 3 or 4 properties. But at some point, like once you get to 5, or maybe it's 7, 8, 9, 10, but somewhere in that range, it becomes too much, right? It becomes too much, and that's what we call the hectic host, where you're getting overwhelmed, and you can't grow any further, because you're still operating from your memory, essentially, and you are the business, essentially, right? So give us an idea of like what did it look like, right, when you joined Legends X? Like what did the business look like, and how did that change throughout the program?
So it was a busy time. So through the pandemic, obviously the world was just changing, and every day we didn't know what to expect, what was coming next. But we did see this incredible growth in the short-term rental industry, which was great. But kind of the interesting thing that happened was the boss of the family I was working for, that amazing, incredible family in this industry that I work in, through the pandemic, they decided to buy a ranch. So they bought this huge ranch, and so I was extremely involved in setting that up and traveling back and forth and getting it all established and building out a team. So I was completely ingrained in doing that. And at the same time, that's when Legends X was happening. And so I would basically, it was kind of like, doing college courses, at night and on the weekends, when you have a job, you're just hustling, right? So I was doing the coursework at night, and working really hard through the day, and just trying to make it all happen. Because, Tina is very busy operating the business and, taking care of our children, where I was traveling a lot, 1 or 2 weeks out of the month for work. So she's with the kids. And so I was like, I'll take the course, and then I'll just kind of channel all the information and everything to you and Amy. And then, you guys can implement the systems, and hopefully this will help us kind of get some structure. So it was busy, but the actual format where you're in these pods with other entrepreneurs that are kind of in the same portfolio size as you, but not in competing markets was really neat. People from all over around the world. And I had Julie as our coach as well, which was awesome. And so it was great. It was a great format. I'd say the thing I liked the most of it was just the amount of accountability, because in the past, if you just buy a course online, you think, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it. Well, guess what? We're all busy working in entrepreneurs. It's like, it just gets pushed to the wayside easily, right? So the fact that it was like, I had to be on this call and I had to have my homework done, and we were going to review it, and we were going to have a discussion and a follow-up. It was just constant accountability. That's the format that you guys have created that's the winner right there. So I was able to stick to it, really make sure that I did the content, in depth, and, I really dove into each module, so I got the most out of it. And then, yeah, week by week, module by module, we would build on the thing we learned last week. And then as we were doing it, I was literally like feeding it to Tina and Amy, like, hey, let's implement this, let's change this, let's do this. So we were actually changing our business in real time. It wasn't like do the whole course and then go start implementing. It was like we were making the changes right away, and we saw an impact like immediately. It was,
what were the three biggest changes that would you say that you made in your business?
Well, I mean, the first thing you got to do is figure out what is it that we're doing, where are we going, right? Like, because when it just, for most of us, it just happens organically, and before you know it, you've got this little business and you didn't even plan on having a business. So it's like, okay, well, what do we want this to be? And this is something. So sitting down and going through the host vision map was clutch. Like, where are we? What is it we want to do, and how do we get there? And identifying, our core values, I think, was really important to me, because hosting from the heart really is built on strong core values. It's not necessarily just, hey, how can we make a lot of money? Let's go pick, oh, this market's, this industry is kind of booming, let's go jump into it. It was like, we really, really care about hospitality. We really care about the guest experience, and we take people's vacations seriously. Like, when people work 50 weeks a year, take 2 weeks off, right? Maybe it's 2 individual weeks, and they've saved up their money and they've saved up their time, and their best friends or their family, they're going to go to this location, and like every second of that week is like cherished, and it's really important to them. So to us, we take it very seriously that we execute properly and that we create an unbelievable experience for them, so that when they leave, they'll remember that for years and years to come. So being able to really identify those core values and share those core values with our guests, and like the host oath and the partner oath, that was something that was really, really important to us that we never really thought about. You guys, encouraged us to put it all down on paper and then share that with your guests. And I think that impacted our business, right away. That was really great. And then, from there was a lot of things that we were learning that we could start implementing, but we knew it would come over time. So some things were impactful right away. Some things were things we could do over time. Like, job scorecards are great as you add employees. At this time, it was just Tina and Amy, but really clearly identifying their roles. And then as we move forward, what other roles would come in the pipeline. So that was kind of like the forward thinking side of it. But right out of the gate, we started to implement. It was great.
Yeah. Did you, because one thing I recognize, like when we chatted before, is that the systems have been really important as well, right? Did you have any systems in place like before you joined, or was everything in your head?
So before Legends X, I would spend all my like off time, or if I was driving, whatever, I'd be listening to podcasts, I'd be listening to YouTube channels, like every guru that's out there, trying to understand different perspectives and like reviews on technology and different things. So we had kind of created our own tech stack at the time of what I thought were, the pieces that worked for us. So we had all these pieces that were working, and we're using a PMS, and so we had automation built in. But no, from a business standpoint, we didn't have any systems. We had operational like Airbnb, Verbo kind of connectivity technologies in place, but we didn't have any. We weren't a business yet. We weren't like really a business. It was just kind of you know, just all over the place. So I think that was the biggest thing was Legends X helped us formulate ourselves into a legitimate business with all the business systems and build that foundation so that when we were ready to grow, then we had a foundation built so we could grow upwards on top of that.
Right. And let's move on to the last couple of months, because you were with us with Tina as well, your wife, in Mexico, which was a lot of fun. But tell us a little bit about where your business is at now, because I saw in the WhatsApp group that we have with all our legends, I saw you just onboarded a pretty incredible mansion. It looks like I saw the pictures of like a theater room and a gym and stuff like that. So give us a bit more detail on like what's happening now.
Yeah. So Legends X allowed us to set the foundation and pave the way. And then, you know, you never know how things are going to go. But in the year after that, the business just kept growing. And it got to the point where I think with the help of Amy, Tina and Amy grew the business. We added 12 homes in 12 months, which is pretty rapid growth and a lot of work, hard work. And they did an amazing job. And so, you know, we grew up at 18 homes or 16 homes or whatever it was. And the phone just kept ringing and people were like, would you please manage our place? Would you please manage our place? And they were basically like, we're maxed at this point and we just can't take any more homes. And so that's when we really had to sit down again in with Tina and go, are we missing an opportunity here? And so that was when I had to really think hard and say, you know what, is this a big enough opportunity for me to quit my incredible job? I've got this phenomenal job working for this phenomenal family, all the benefits in the world, but it was very time consuming, obviously, and I had to be fully committed to that job. So I couldn't focus on helping Hosting with Heart grow to this potential. So we made the tough call, and I decided that, you know, it was hard because I'm really ingrained into the family's life, and my coworkers are amazing, and so I didn't want to leave them hanging, right? I didn't want to leave them with a big void in the operations of that family organization. But I went to my bosses and I asked for their blessing. I said, hey, you guys are entrepreneurs yourselves. Would you bless myself to join Tina and go and create something really, really special? And they said, absolutely, we're behind you all the way. You know, as hard as this will be, you got to do this. You got to do this. So that was great. So I had that support structure. So that was, you know, a 6-month transition out of that role. I've got 16 days left with the family. So, so kind of while that was all that was happening, we made this decision to go all in. I remember Eric talking about we've got this next tier called Legends, and I was tell me more about that. And he was, you know, telling me about what you guys did in 2019 and 2020. You know, I think you met just before the pandemic hit or whatever, those 2 meetings. And you know, for me, I always like to set super high targets. And I said, well, I want to be a legend. What do I got to do? And he said, okay, well, you got to hit these metrics and you got to, you know, make this much money and stuff. I said, okay, I'm going to go for it. So we went all in and put all the chips on the table, and we did it. We got to that threshold, and, you know, you guys accepted us in. So that was super exciting. And so, so we went down to Oaxaca with you guys just recently, and we had high expectations because we know what you guys do. You guys deliver incredible content. You guys deliver incredible value. And we knew that the group we're going into it was like pretty high level operators and entrepreneurs in the space. And we went down and it exceeded our expectations. It was not only business changing, but like life changing for us. So just the network, the contacts that we made there, the people that we met, the friends, the business friends, the fact that Tina and I run our business together, which has its pros and cons, obviously, in a relationship. It was really good for us to go as a couple and like have a vacation, you know, in combined with doing the business work. It was really, really good for us, like as a couple. And then just the content and the format of how you all set it up was so much different than just going to a conference and watching a guy behind, you know, podium, you know, just give a keynote speech. It was very inclusive. It was very dynamic. It was an open dialogue where we all got to contribute our own experiences, even though we're all super diverse in our backgrounds, and we all brought something kind of super unique to the table, and we could offer up tidbits to each other to help each other work through our challenges and to kind of expand our mindsets on like what's possible in the space. So yeah, it was fun, and it was powerful, and yeah, we're excited now we've already been implementing things we've learned, and then as I said, I'm just really kind of wrapping up here with my job, and then ready to accelerate with hosting from the heart, and we've got some pretty big targets we're shooting for. So
yeah, let's talk a little bit about your goals, and I would also love to hear a little bit more about that the mansion that you shared.
For sure. So our goals right now, so we operate in basically primarily in 2 counties, Park County, which is where our first cabin was over the hill, right? And we've got 8 homes there. There's a lot of logistical challenges there in that it's kind of remote. It's 11,000 feet. So you got snow removal. We like bought our own plow truck and everything. It's like you have a lot of seasonality going on there, but it does really good numbers. But we've kind of maxed out that little piece of the portfolio there at 8 homes because we got a great team in place, and that's their comfort level, housekeeping and maintenance wise. So we're rocking that. And then over in Summit County, which is the busiest ski area in America, it's just an incredible tourist hub, and that's where we have 8 or 10 homes over there. So our goal is to focus now on what we're calling the Hosting from the Heart Premier Collection. So we want to take on only high level estate grade, I call them, properties. So think about a ski in, ski out chalet that sleeps 24 people in Breckenridge. Think about that kind of realm of home. Homes that are probably going to be priced in the $3 to $5 to $10 million and upwards, that will be targeting gross revenue of about $500K per year and up is our goal. So we want to add 10 to 15 of those homes in the next 2 years. So it's a pretty big target. And that our objective at the end of that, and our objective I'd say in the end of 3 years is to have a gross booking revenue of about $10 million in the portfolio. But we're basically trying to position ourselves. We are positioning ourselves as Colorado's premier boutique portfolio of luxury and unique homes. So we want to leverage my 25 years experience in this high level, high net worth, high touch service provider, hospitality into the short-term rental game. So, we could pick up 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms all day long and just build out a portfolio of 100, 200, 300 homes pretty easily. But we want to super focus on that niche that not a lot of people are focused on right now. And then just leverage our experience in that space. So that I feel enabled us to lock in our first premier home. I just sent the contract off this morning, so we there was a realtor in Keystone, an area just near Breckenridge. It's really, really great skiing, and it's a resort designated overlay area, so it's completely safe from any sort of STR regulation. It's a purpose-built resort area, so this home falls within that umbrella, so we don't have to worry about losing our license or any of that kind of thing in the future. So I met a realtor that had been basically involved with this home for 20 years. She decided she wanted to move on from managing it. The owner said, okay, if you're going to move on, I'm just going to sell the house. And so she found us just kind of organically. She liked our boutique approach, and she said, hey, I'm going to sell this home, and I'd like to put you first forward as the potential property manager for it. And so she proceeded to get a contract on the home, and the investor is a savvy real estate investor. He's got 70 plus commercial real estate properties in Colorado and across the country, but this is his first step into the short-term rental investment realm. But very, very smart businessman, really in-depth vetting and research that he did and an interviewing process in terms of property management companies. So we were basically up against the 3 biggest property management companies in Summit County. In Summit County's, as I mentioned, it's a beast in the space. And so so we were going up against companies that had 50 employees, boots on the ground, 20-year track record, histories, robust client lists, and all that stuff. And I really worked hard with this investor to show him why we were his best opportunity moving forward. We're the the up and coming presence in Summit County, and that we are going to be a limited portfolio size, being boutique, and that we really wanted, we felt like we would be able to give his property the attention it needed to take it to the next level. It also, the nice thing about it is, as you mentioned, it's got a media room, it has a full gym, it has a massage room, it has a steam spa in it, like it has all the things. It was built as a purpose-built executive retreat home. So it's got 9 suites, and each one is an individual suite with its own bathroom and workspace. So it's perfect for those larger kind of corporate events. And it also can do as a conditional use permit. So we can do events up to 40 people, weddings, you name it. So huge opportunity there. So we're super excited to bring that into the portfolio and kick off that Hosted from the Heart Premier collection. And then our goal is, our goal to obtain the future homes in Breckenridge, which Breckenridge is now restricted on short-term rental licenses. So is Summit, but there's a ton of existing investors and homeowners that have a license. The license is grandfathered in as long as they have it, that have underperforming property managers. We're going to swoop in, show them why we're better, and take over management of their properties, and show them how we can do things differently. So that's kind of our approach to build out the portfolio here in the next few years.
Super exciting, man. Super exciting. Congratulations on your success. Been absolute pleasure to to follow along with your journey and just see how quickly, like in a year time. Well, I gotta take a sip of water.
Yeah, you're good.
That's what you get when you're a podcast host. You gotta drink a lot of water.
That's right. A lot of talking.
But I was gonna say, it's been incredible to see like how quickly you transformed, and like, from a year ago when you came to us. What kind of advice do you have? Because there might be some people who are listening who are kind of in that spot where you were a year ago. And one of the reasons I'm so excited to speak with you is like, I know like the times that I've made a lot of progress, it's always been because somebody inspired me. So, my hope is that you're going to inspire a lot of people who are listening to this podcast. So tell us, what's your advice for somebody who's in that spot where you have around like 5 listings or so, and you have a full-time job, and you're trying to decide like, okay, am I going full all in on these short-term rentals? I'm already feeling overwhelmed with it. Like, what would you say to that person?
It's a great question. So a couple things. So first of all, going from 5 to 10 is this really unique scenario in that you go to 5 and you kind of build a reputation and you learn how to do it. So then you're like, okay, I know how to do this now. And now you have an opportunity where other people say, hey, can you help me do this? So then you start to scale, and you go from that. For what we found from that 1 to 5, the money was coming in, but it wasn't like, oh, wow, look at the bank account just going up and up and up. It was more like, you make some money and you're spending money, and it was a little bit of extra money, which was nice, but it wasn't like, hey, I quit my job kind of money, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not until you get to from 5 till 6 that the leverage of scale starts to kick in, and you start to go, okay, wait a sec. Now, we're having $20,000 months and $30,000 months gross bookings and $40,000 months. You go, okay, now we can actually start getting some money going in the bank, and then we can get some reinvestment funds as well. And so that's where it gets exciting, going from 5 till 10, but then that's when the hectic host part kicks in. So it's kind of this twofold scenario. So my 2 recommendations are this. Number 1, you need to educate yourself and tap into an existing system. To try and build all your systems by yourself from scratch while you're working a full-time job, you've got kids and a family and a life, you're just going to, and trying to run your business, or host your guests, you're going to go crazy, and you're not going to be able to execute, and it's going to take you forever, and you'll probably burn out. So tap into an existing system that, like, for example, Legends X, where you can just learn it, implement it, and boom, you're ready to go. So it's going to save you a ton of time. Second, you need help. The best thing we ever did was bringing on Amy, which, she's, with her 25 years hospitality experience, and she's just like, she could do everything. And what we did, the way we did that, is because we couldn't just say, hey, Amy, here's a big salary, right? We can just pay somebody, commit to a big salary. So we sat down, we said, okay, where do you need to be financially, and how much time do you have until that you can work with us to get there? And, so she kind of told us, like, here's my number of where I was with my previous job, right? And we said, okay, so if we can start you off on a base that we can afford. But what we did was, on any new co-host home that we bring on, and you onboard and you help get set up and you operate, well, out of that commission, we'll give you a piece of that commission, right? And we'll do that. And so then we laid out, how many of those do we need to do to get you where we need to go? So that was how we structured it. We said, we need to bring on 12 homes in 12 months, and at each one you'll get X amount of piece, and then we'll get you to where you want to be. And so she said, yeah, I'm willing to commit to that. And by giving her that opportunity, where it was really up to her to get it there, she went all in and she crushed. And we couldn't have done it with it. There's no way that Tina could have onboarded 12 homes in 12 months with me working my full-time job. So I highly recommend bringing somebody in that has a lot of talent, a lot of skill. They can tap into the systems, the Legends X systems, or whichever program you're using, and implement those systems to get you to that point where then you can step away from your job, because it would have been too big of a risk for me to leave my job a year ago. We were leaving security, and then, who knows? So get yourself to that point. I always said, until I can like 3x my W-2 income, I'm not gonna quit my job. And so, we never would have done that without the help of the systems and that employee. So, and I think that target that we set for her, we doubled it in 12 months.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's what's cool. That's what's cool about, what I think is cool about hospitality business is where, you're affecting the lives of all the people that come through your homes. But, as you're scaling now and you're hiring team members, you're also affecting the lives of those people, right? And that decision that you made, where you're like, okay, I have the courage to like go all in on this business, has now created an incredible opportunity for Amy too, right? So awesome, dude.
That's one of our main core values, is not only taking care of our guests, but taking care of our team. And our goal is to make our team incredibly wealthy and successful themselves, by sharing it and giving them opportunities to create wealth and to invest in properties within the portfolio and that type of thing. So it's really important to us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, thanks so much for jumping on the podcast here. As I mentioned, we've talked about doing this podcast for a while, so I'm excited that you're now you're a free I say that, a free agent, a free spirit.
Yeah,
you can do what you want now. So that's awesome.
Exciting.
And hopefully I'll be able to make it out there in Colorado. I love skiing, so
that'd be great.
I'm dealing with some visa immigration office of challenges. Hopefully, I'll be able to live in the States, in the next hopefully this year. So yeah, thanks so much, and to the listeners, hope you like this episode. Really, for me, it's inspiring to see this. I love seeing people just having success and taking action, implementing. And of course, on Friday we'll be back with another episode. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.